Warning.
All right, let's do it now.
The following podcast was recorded by two idiots. It contains vulgar language, vulgar ideas, and poop jokes. If any of this offends you, blow it out your ass.
Son of a bitch bastard!
Let's start this again, shall we? Jesus Christ.
You're fucking retarded.
Hey, Pickle Licker, want to play the right intro?
One more time!
Are you ready?
Oh yeah, this is a special episode of Let Us Cast. I am Andrew. With me, as always, is Bruce, and we have our special guest today.
Hello.
Ladies and gentlemen,
What
for those
the
of you...
hell?
He's like, how did I get here?
Yeah.
How do I go home?
Hello, gentlemen.
How's it going?
Good.
So, for those that don't know, this is Braden. He actually used to work with me at, I used to work with him at ZLX for, God, we worked together, it was like almost 5 years, actually, I think, before D-Day.
I always thought you were there longer, but I was there with them for 9 years, 9 years.
No,
so.
I was there for, it was almost 5 years. I started interning, it was February of 2009, and then got let go August of 2014.
Yeah.
So including the internship, I was there for over 5 years, but.
Right, we got let go on the very same day.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. That was a good. They cleared us out. They got rid of the problems. So, and there's more power to them. They're doing pretty well too. But we worked together there, and we still work together here and there. First off, I love what you've done with the place. This is very nice, and the fact that you have that nice what is that? A ceiling fan?
Yes.
Is that a Hunter? The fact that there's not a noose attached to it, I'm very happy for you.
There was, but I broke it.
There used to be. Used to be a Spiderman hanging from that noose, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, great.
Yeah, it used to be. There was this little like one of those like little bendable like posable figures and whatnot. It was a Spider-Man that came with like the first like Tobey Maguire Spider-Man thing, and like back in college, like a buddy of mine just took a couple pencils, taped it up as a cross, and just hung Spider-Man like that.
Oh, your poor mother.
Oh.
Hey, she knew what she was getting into when she gave birth.
No,
to me.
she really did.
She had an idea.
Gentlemen, how long have you guys been doing this show? If you don't mind me asking.
Often.
I've caught a few episodes here and there. As much as I can stomach, I can't play it around the kids because I'm now a full-blown parent and everything. Like even when we were doing our little introductions there, I had my kid come down the stairs and I had to yell at him. But that's 100% my scope now. But Andrew, since I listened to the show, it's been a minute. I'll be honest. Like, how long have you guys been doing the show now?
So off and on, we've been doing this for a couple of years. I know we kind of took an extended break for probably about what was it, Bruce? Like 8 months to 10 months, something like that, just because life kept getting in the way. We just couldn't get a schedule down.
Something like that. But
it's been a couple
geez,
years.
I don't even remember when the first one was.
I don't know. Like we actually started. At least I started back when we were at ZLX.
Yeah.
Is when we started. Eventually, Bruce joined on. Just haven't looked back from that, but yeah, I think it was last year or something like that. We took a good extended break. So we've been doing it for a while.
Yeah,
and
we sort of made it a point recently to sort of set an actual time and weekly now we kind of do it. So I think ever since we've been doing that, it's made it a lot more fun because now we have a regular time to do the cast and it's not so hit or miss. We actually have a cast every week, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that now that I'm teaching more than I'm producing. I'm still producing, but doing a podcast and getting into that regular feel of it is so important. Everybody everybody makes the joke that everybody else has a podcast, but the fact that if you can stick up with it and you're not just doing it once in a blue moon kind of a thing, you actually have a topic, unlike we have now. If I'm your whole thing today, oh boy, it's going to be a rough one. But what I'm going to say is that doing podcasts and getting into the regular feel of it, I mean, everybody says this is like this huge creative jump. Like, do you still feel, Andrew, like, how you felt being in radio when you're doing a podcast? Which one do you think is like more creative?
Honestly, doing the podcast, because number one, like, there's chemistry with me and Bruce. Like, we kind of, like, we were roommates in college. I've known him since, what was it, like freshman year of college?
Oh, is he the guy you made meth with? Is that him?
Yeah.
In the
I'm the
bathtub.
Walter White of this relationship.
I think there's still a pizza on his roof. Haven't been there in a while, but
Could be.
I'm the Bill Burr of this relationship. Continue.
Yeah. But no, just like doing the podcast, like it's a lot more. I'm trying to think of the words. I'm allowed to be more creative than I was with with ZLX or WXLF up in New Hampshire, because for one thing, I don't have a fucking program director with a fucking height requirement just belittling me, for lack of a better word.
Yeah,
just going
there's
like,
plenty
you
of
suck.
those.
Yeah, there's plenty of those, and hopefully that guy can hopefully he goes ice fishing and falls in. But anyways, we'll eventually get to that. But it's just like my whole goal with this podcast, like it was a way to keep connected with Bruce, and I just want to make him, like, every week I'm trying to make him laugh.
Yeah, it's just sort of entertainment, shooting the shit, kind of like. Yeah, it's funny you say as long as you have a theme. We've never really had a theme, and I think that kind of does us well because we can kind of talk about whatever the hell we want, and
right.
we just kind of riff on whatever. Sometimes we talk about like recent events or whatever. Like we would talk about the shit at the Capitol when that happened or whatever. But for the most part, it's just we make a lot of references to wrestling and Kiss and shit like that. It's
okay. Yeah,
we just have a lot of fun.
Like the first thing that like popped into my head was like when I thought about the podcast. I've heard your guys. I've heard it before. And I love the way that you guys go about it and having something to talk about and just riffing on shit. It's great. Like the Capitol thing. That's something that we couldn't have riffed on at ZLX.
No.
Like, absolutely not. You couldn't even make a reference to it. And I always got in trouble for making what I thought were, very tame references, but weren't. Now that I'm in, like, the parent field, right? Like, I'm like, everything that I thought was, not okay or like not even close to being offensive, I can see it now, and like I still don't care at all, but I can see it and I can see where they're coming from and getting that perspective, and you're just like, oh yeah, I really don't want her to know what smegma is at the age of 3. So I probably shouldn't watch shit or say shit like that around her. Like, even if I'm joking, like all the stuff that we used to joke about, like Andrew, like we used to have a rule at ZLX, like if you even had to think about it, you didn't do it in terms of content. Like, if you had to take that 1 second and think, is someone possibly going to be offended by this? Is there any way that this could be misconstrued or, seen as, offensive? Oh, absolutely. 9 times out of 10, we would come up with something that was gold, or what we thought was gold at the time.
Yeah.
And we get screamed at. Like, not only just for, like, suggesting it, but wasting people's time with it. It's like, we can't do that. And it was just like, yeah, I know, but it would be awesome if we could. And we like that's the great thing about podcasts, and I'm glad that you guys are doing it, because I think Andrew really needs to get this stuff out of his head, Bruce. And I'm unfortunately putting it into yours.
But, great minds think alike, and then there's Bruce and I. But that's besides the point.
Now, I'm sorry, Bruce, and hopefully you're able to afford the therapy. But
it's funny because we often describe this as sort of being like our therapy. Is like if this is our way to kind of unleash. Like if I have something that's really pissing me off, like I can come up here and like Jesus Christ, dude, listen to this, or we have a lot of those where we get pissed off about something and let loose. And this is sort of a nice outlet to be able to do that. Where like you said, a lot of like commercial places. There's no way you'd be able to just get up here and be like, man, that motherfucker cut me off today. Like, you'd never do that.
Yeah. No, you couldn't. And I think that's one of the reasons why me and Andrew actually got fired. Was because it became less about being funny and more about getting away with offensive things, or getting that program director riled up. Like, we were always angry at that guy, and we should have been, but the way that we went about it, like, I mean, I can understand why he fired us. Like, because most of my jokes and even like, like it just became angsty. It was such a toxic relationship. And how we were like, dealt with it. Like our whole therapy back then was me and Andrew like ducking into a studio and just screaming at each other about how much we hated this guy. And it was, if that's what the podcast is like, and I haven't gotten that vibe, but it's good for him, which is good. But at the same time, I've let that shit go in a way. Like, I'm one of those forgive and not forget kind of dudes. Like, not to get like, namaste, McConaughey on it. But like, what I'm saying is like, with him, he's not worth the effort. Like, or like the angst that we had for him. When I think about all the stuff that we did back then, 9 times out of 10, it was to spite him. Instead of trying to be funny, which we were, it was more try to be funny at that program director's expense. And if it was weird, like, I mean, Andrew, you can tell me you felt different, but like, I completely 100% blame that asshole. But
I was wondering, like, what kind of stuff you feel you guys might have done, like either Andrew or you, Braden, like what you guys might have done to provoke him.
We provoked him all the time. Like we didn't mean, like even if we didn't mean to. Like I went in, and this was just like such a toxic relationship. I was like, I just hated that guy with such a like passion. Like it was my entire reason of living was hoping to see something bad happen to him. Which is a terrible, terrible way to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, I had daydreams of how he would meet his end, and I couldn't wait to read his, obituary. But
Wow.
I
You and me both.
I can't,
Wow.
I can't sit here and tell you that, I agree with the guy or, I like the guy. I don't. But do I blame him? No, because like I was definitely at fault for some of that shit. And I didn't need to go to that point. And, when I got fired, it's because I called him out on something. Like me and Andrew used to, just kind of sit there and take it. Everybody did. Honestly, it's like Josh Whedon kind of level. Not to put like that kind of scope on it, like
But to at least kind of give you some kind of perspective.
It would kind of had that vibe to it. Like, I'm not saying it was anywhere near that level, but
No, but
like it was a very threatening, bad relationship. There was constant derision, literally scolding. Like, nobody should go to work like that ever, anywhere. Like, if anybody ever talks to you like that, you shouldn't take it. But we also used to just stare at her shoes until he was done, and he'd scream, yell, basically just pitch a fit, which sucked. But we all hated going to work and going there, which was terrible. But because we had this amazing job, but this guy was such a dick that that became the goal. The goal was not to be funny for each other like we should have been and just ignoring him. It became the situation where we had to overcome it, and that was our downfall in a sense. Well, at least mine. I don't want to say it's like I kind of feel like I took Andrew with me because I was the big guy to get. Because I was the producer of the show, and Andrew was a producer of the show too, but I had pretty much brought Andrew on, and told the guys that we needed to, because we needed to keep him around. I'm just glad he's still doing this. But I feel like we'd probably still be there, me and Andrew, at ZLX. Like I've talked to the guys, and they're on their like third producer since we left, and
Wow.
And they keep getting like less and less paid. Now it's Kenny. It's Kenny Young, who is also our nighttime jock, or ZLX's nighttime jock. I still refer to him as ours, but Kenny's now doing both the nights and producing in the mornings. So I mean, and it's ridiculous. Like that job doesn't really exist anymore. But I feel like if we hadn't been, or I hadn't been, I have to speak for myself, not for Andrew. Like, if I hadn't been so hell bent on pissing that dude off, I think we'd still be there.
I don't know. 'Cause,
What sort of things like did you like I don't know, like what sort of things would you actually do to piss him off? Like Andrew, do you have any